So that's her. I've been real busy here in the garage lately. As y'all can see, I got a bunch of crap tore apart, mess all over the place. Been quite a while, so figured I'd kind of let y'all know what I've been up to. I got to do an oil change on the Harley today. Put 500 break-in miles on the new motor, and time to do that last final oil change, and she should be good to go. Toyota, she's been sitting like this for a little while, ended up with a cracked cylinder head, so I got it all tore apart and ready to replace that. I got a table full of Toyota parts. Something kind of fun I've been working on. Old TTR. Man, I've had this bike a long time. So, the Harley. Man, I've put some serious hours in on this bike. I'm sure I didn't really put this bike much on the channel just because it's just like every other Sportster, but starting back in about October, we always take this bike down to Hatteras when we go. And when I start messing with something, I start getting a little bit motivated. So we were down there, I was like trying to carry a book bag everywhere, just wasn't cutting it. So the whole thing started just because I was like, all right, I'm gonna put some saddlebags on here. Saddlebags on a Sportster. You can hate on if you want to, but this ends up kind of coming down to a function over form sort of thing. I mean, I don't hate the way they look. I think they look okay. They're Viking bags. But man, as soon as you have some saddlebags, you're like, dude, how in the world did I ever get by without having these before? I keep these things full all the time. It's dirty, it's covered in pollen, but this is the final product of this project that's been going on, like I said, since about October. So, like I said, I'm gonna do an oil change on it. I'll kind of talk you through, see if I can remember everything I've done to it. It's been quite a bit. I know the obvious statement is I should have done videos on all of it, but honestly, going through a time where I just wanted to spend some time by myself in the garage and I didn't want to fool with the camera. So there's plenty of videos out there on how to do stuff on Sportsters, and if y'all have any questions, I'd be glad to help you. But let's get this thing fired up and get it warmed up. We'll start draining the oil out of here. So I went with the saddlebags, ended up getting a Sissy bar from them because, as you can see, my fender started getting screwed up from carrying the bag on the previous Sissy bar I had, so that's kind of nice with this. That was quite a pain to install because, as y'all know, the taillights are more forward on the rear fender as the bike is stock. So in order to put the bags on there, you had to extend all the wiring for the taillights, for the license plate light, and then this bracket. I mean, it works. It's close, but it does work, and it's nice and stiff, and you don't have to worry about flipping out your license plate, even though I did kind of like being able to flip it in every once in a while. But so yeah, I had to extend all the wires for all those lights, and then the bags, you would think that they would come pre-drilled. Nope. So I had to fit them up there while trying to figure out what was level. After checking them 1,400 times, I finally drilled the holes in one. And then the nice thing is once you get one set up, then you can mark the holes on the other bag, and it lines up pretty well to drill the holes for the second one using your holes in the original bag. But they're pretty nice once you get them on here. I mean, they're solid. That's kind of what started all this. The pipes got messed up that were on here before. They were just Vance & Hines slip-ons, but to be honest, those are pretty nice pipes. If you're ever thinking about whether to just go with a full system or the slip-ons, I would definitely heavily think about the slip-ons because they sounded really good. With these pipes on the stock motor, I mean, you can tune out the pop from them, but I honestly feel like I had a little bit more low end, like I said, stock motor with just the slip-ons on there, and I had stock air filter. Alright, so we got that draining. So what I did with the motor, I'm sure you guys have heard of Hammer Performance. So you pretty much got S&S, Hammer Performance. If there's any other companies out there, I haven't really heard of them, but those are the big ones. I don't think you can go wrong with S&S, but the individual specific, just call a dude on the phone, specific support I got from Hammer Performance, I wouldn't go with anybody else. So they have just their, this bike started out as 883. So they have their 1250 and 1275 kits. 1275 is what I went with, and then once you get into going past that, they start doing 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 horsepower packages. These all obviously go up in price, but there is a big difference in price from the 100 horsepower kit to the 110, and then quite a bit more to the 120. To me, it's not much of a difference between 80, 90, and 100. I mean, you're talking like maybe $1,000 from 80 to 100. I can't even really remember, but it steps up like $1,800 when you go from the 100 to the 110 and on from there. So I went with the 100 horsepower kit. Basically what that does is you obviously get the 1275 big bore kit with their 30-degree reverse dome pistons. You send them your heads. They open up the combustion chamber a ton. Like, they have this stuff figured out down to a science on how they use their 5-axis CNC machine, and they make that space in there huge. It's much larger, and they do that in order to be able to put longer as well as larger diameter valves. Now, to wrap this whole package up, they have different sets of cams for different packages. The Impact 560s is what I went with. They say if you're going to do it, you need to do whatever package you choose from the start, because say you just start off with a 1275 big bore and then you want to go further and do, you know, different heads and things like that, that changes the pistons that you get. And then if you go to say 80 horsepower, you want to jump to 100, and these are all approximations now, but it changes the head work, and you pretty much only want to send them your heads one time to get that work done. It all lines up together and works. So I really didn't have any issues in putting that engine kit together. I changed some other things while I was in there, just to me, to make it look a little bit different. All black hardware, push rod tubes, tappet covers. I got different rocker boxes, but it all went together pretty well. Put a new clutch in there. It runs pretty good. I was kind of expecting, with it being a V-twin, you know, compared to a sport bike, I was like, man, this thing ought to really rip off the bottom. And it does, but I expected it to be like explosive off the bottom and then kind of maybe taper off a little towards the top. Now, being I'm just finishing the break-in, I started getting into a little bit more. Once I crossed over 500 miles, I'm at about 550 now. It's not like a huge ramp straight off the bottom, but it feels like when it starts pulling, it just continues to pull the same way all the way through. So that's actually, it's pretty cool. Like I said, a little different from what I expected, but very cool. So let's just start from the front, and I'll go to the back and show y'all everything I did. So I tried really 3 different headlight setups. I had the stock headlight with the LED bulb. That lasted, heck, 4 or 5 years, and it finally burned out on me. Then Hogworks, great company to deal with, but their headlight, that thing was laughable. Like, I put that in there, and I was like, this is kind of a joke. I mean, it was quite a bit. It was just a terrible beam pattern. Like, it looked like trash, honestly. I mean, I couldn't hardly see anything. So I kind of went back and forth. In the end, I ended up going with this Shark Biter, Shark Demon 9000, whatever the heck it's called. It's from Custom Dynamics. That headlight, that thing is pretty sweet. I still kind of expected a little bit more from it, and I don't like that it's like a half moon pattern. I wish it was just flat cut off, but wide all the way out. So that's where these pod lights come in. So these are not specifically for a motorcycle. I mean, you can use them for whatever you want, but these are from the retrofit source. They're Morimoto, what they consider their HXB pod lights. So these are the 4 bangers, which doesn't make any sense to me because I see 3 LEDs in there and they say it's 4. So maybe there's one in there I'm not seeing. Low beam, high beam, LED pod lights. I like it. Memphis Shades fairing. This is their tallest one. I think it's 12-inch that they have in the dark smoke. I actually tried the 15-inch. And the buffeting on that thing was horrendous. Like, it was terrible. So I ended up going back to the 12, and that seems to be the best, you know, setup for that. And the Custom Dynamics headlight, they sell a bracket directly made to work with this fairing. So when I originally put this fairing on here, I had the Hogworks light on there, and I was having to maneuver the fairing all over the place to get it to line up with the headlight because the headlight was mounted to the bike and the fairing was separate. Well, this puts the headlight in the fairing, and then all you gotta do is put the fairing on, plug it up, and you're done. I really like that setup. So that, you know, makes that a whole lot easier in putting that on. So I did everybody else does. I ended up going with a 1.5-inch tank lift. I don't love the way a tank lift looks. I think it's okay. I mean, I prefer just the stock angle of the tank, but in order to clean this whole area up, we all know you got to do a tank lift. So I got a 2-inch just in case. I had to work quite a bit in order to get this 1.5-inch to come down and still have free play in my wires up here. I mean, my thing is I wanted the tank to sit down, be mounted here, and the harness to be able to still just lightly move back and forth so I knew nothing was really pinching, and I was able to achieve that. Now, 1.25 inch, it ain't gonna clear. It's not gonna happen. But the 1.5 does fit. So did the tank lift, I did a coil relocation, I did the ignition relocation. That bracket, I ended up having to grind some off of that to get it to fit. It just wasn't working right. It's still, you know, I was kind of wondering, is this plastic going to get melted on the fins here, the head, but it worked out okay. But I do like that takes all this stuff out of this area. I ended up taking some of this harness. It ran under the top tube here. I ended up disconnecting everything from down here, and I ran it up over the top so I could still have this entire clean space. Throttle cables, I think I have these zip tied up here. I'll probably end up redoing that again, but that's about the only thing you're going to have hanging there. I was able to put the relay for the pod lights underneath the seat, and then the switch I've got here. I was going to put it in with the high beams, but I actually kind of like being able to operate it on its own. And one kind of cool thing about it is you definitely don't want to leave them on, but even with the key off, you've got constant power to them. So say just for a couple minutes you want to get some extra light on something, that's kind of cool without sitting there having your battery completely turned on. Foot pegs, these are the Flow Motorsports foot pegs. So it's actually 3 different ones here, and I didn't really plan on doing that. My original plan was I had built weld pegs on here before. I was going to put those on the passenger foot pegs, mini floorboards here, and then I was just going to put these wider MX style foot pegs on these highway peg mounts. Well, when I put the mini floorboards here, even with their shift lever, and I put the brake pedal on there also, both of them, they're adjustable in the length of how far in and out you want the pedal to be. But with those mini floorboards, we're talking it was like that close to the brake pedal and the shifter. It was trash. Like on this bike, that just ain't gonna work. I mean, it felt okay on my feet, but honestly, I kind of like having a smaller surface area for just my feet. So I ended up putting the standard pegs here, the MX style foot pegs here, and like I said, this was an accident. I really meant to get MX style for the both of them, but I ended up liking having a smaller one here, and then I put the floorboards back here. My wife actually really likes those a lot, so that worked out well. But those are all pretty cool, tight, everything's good. Covers from Harley, I got a little oil seeping there, need to check the torque on those. Like I said, the Sissy bar, saddlebags, all from Viking bags. This Sissy bar was a shit fit. Like, dude, when they welded it, it must have pulled in tight. I mean, I had to wrench this thing out so hard to get it on there, and I had to pretty much accept the fact that these strut covers were going to get jacked up putting it on there. I tried to spread it with a bottle jack. I tried everything, and always it would just spring back. But I knew once I got it on there, and shoot, once it was marked up one time, it's like, what does it matter at this point? I can replace them in the future if I decide to go away from this, but just had to kind of suck it up and get it on there. It was not easy to get that on there. And then you get that on all the time while it's wanting to spring off, and then get your saddlebags mounted. But I'm making a little bit of drama out of it. It's not that bad. It's not horrible. So the air filter is the Arlen Ness Mini Sucker. Get something a little bit different. I found this OG company. I can't even remember what they're called, but I think I found that cover on Get Lowered Cycles. That's where I got this from. But that company's actually got some really cool stuff and just something a little different on there. Still got the same seat I had on there before. I've been having thoughts of going to a black. I mean, it's okay, but I don't know. Seat's fine. I don't love it. I don't know why people are so hooked on these seats. I mean, it's not terrible, but I don't think that it's as comfortable as the original like 2-up seat that comes on a Sportster. I mean, just the way that this is squared off here, it's much more comfortable for the passenger, but it's not the most comfortable seat in my opinion, and this is the gel than the stock seat. I may change in the future, I don't know. So the bars, they're Burley bars. I was trying to decide between 12 and 14 inch. Definitely glad that I went with the raked back ones a little bit. The bars is like the best thing I ever did to this bike. Like honestly, everybody's different, their size, this, that, whatever. I'm like 5'11", but I think I kind of have a short torso, longer legs. The 12 inch works awesome for me. Like it's not high, it ain't low, it's just right out there. And before I had the Biltwell Frisco bars on there, dude, the no sweep of those bars would kill your wrist after an hour. So these are just, they're awesome. I really like those a lot. For the wintertime, I put these Memphis Shades handguards on there. They might make a little difference, but it kind of goes along with the whole look. I mean, I kind of like those. The programmer, that's a part of the package that you are really supposed to get from Hammer Performance. I actually had the Bluetooth model, the PowerVision 4, PV4. I didn't really like that thing. It was kind of glitchy. I would be, I had a tune on there, and I would be going down the road, and my speedometer would just shut off and come back on. Like, down to 0, a couple of lights, and then it would come back. I haven't had any issues with this original PowerVision. This is the PV1 Bravo. It's a little bit blocky, a little bit older school looking, but that thing it's awesome. I really like that a lot. And you can leave it up there to data log if you want, or to watch gauges, or you can take it off. Me, I kind of like having it on there to keep a watch on my engine temperature, stuff like that. That's been really cool. But yeah, that's about it. That's been a full build. I know I've been running my mouth, but I just kind of wanted to show it to y'all. I'll let this oil drain on here. And if you have any questions, anything I've done, I'm sure I forgot some stuff here and there. I mean, it's been a fun project. I've really enjoyed it, and I'll see you at the next stoplight.